Good afternoon and welcome to Action Coach here in Birmingham. My name is Steve Charman. It's great to have you with us on one of our Lunch and Learns again today. Today we've got a really great guest with us, Angela Podmore from Kinetic. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi. I'm great, thanks.
Good. Well, you're going to learn more about how you are in your business in a few moments, Angela. It's great you've joined us this lunchtime. For those of you who are listening to us, you may well be on the Zoom platform, you may be on LinkedIn, or you may be on Facebook. Whichever platform you're listening to us this lunchtime, please do send any questions, put any comments, and we'll do our best to respond to those as we go through this Lunch and Learn. For those of you who are new to us, on a Wednesday where we're meeting with local business owners just to find a bit about how they've survived the pandemic over the last 12 months and a bit about their business journey in general and what we can learn from each other as local business owners here in Birmingham. So, Angela, it's great to have you with us. I guess the starting point, Angela, just tell us a bit about what you do at Kinetic.
Okay, we are content creators extraordinaire, but where that, content is everything you say and everything you do in terms of reflecting that in not just online, but also in the physical space. And we come at things from a reputation point of view, which is everything you say, everything you do, and everything others think about you. So it's a pretty broad and complex subject. We've honed it all down, and we act particularly on the behalves of any decent business. So a decent business is the triple bottom line. You pay your people fairly, do as little harm to the environment as you make sustainable profits. And we believe if you're a decent business, you deserve to be trusted, and we build that trust. Guaranteed, thanks to Action Coach.
Guaranteed, indeed. And I know you've got a specific DNA, which you probably share with us a bit later on. But Angela, I mean, how long have you been in business?
17 years.
Right. And can you...
That's Kinetic, 35.
Yeah. But let me take you back 17 years, Angela, when you first started Kinetic as a business. What made you do it?
Yes, I often ask myself that question.
I'm sure many business owners ask themselves that question, but I'd love to know what made you start Kinetic. What was it? What was your vision at the time?
The honest answer is I'd started out at 21. I was up in Hull for 3 years, and I came back to Birmingham. But this is my home city, and not as though geography matters anymore, hey. But I loved doing what I did. I fell into Harrison Cowley very easily, part of Sarches and everything, and loved how that worked, the whole setup. Loved it so much that I, did 5 years there, had a brief foray into marketing, but then successive consultancy roles. And then a guy came to me with £20 million in his back pocket because I'd really reached the ceiling of what I could do in the consultancy I was in. And he said, I'm looking to set up a Birmingham branch. Would you like to have a conversation? Oh, yes, please. So I had 2 years of that, but then got a golden goodbye from there because of the 2001 and what happened after the Twin Towers, etc. And it was a very big group I was part of. And it was my opportunity I thought, I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to do this now. I've had control of the P&L. I now want to do this for myself because all that I'd done in those 2 years was me. So I thought, may as well. And I wish I'd done it so much sooner.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate I could probably have earned more money being a freelancer and just working into people and working at high level consultancy because there's very little I wouldn't do as in the level of consultancy I've worked at. But secondly, I would love to anyway, I just love what I'm doing. The freedom that having your own business has, it is just such a thrill, isn't it?
Indeed. And what I love about I was on your website doing a bit of research earlier on, Angela, and I love you've got such a clear vision, which you alluded to when we first started talking, that every decent business deserves to be trusted. Has that always been the vision for Kinetic? Is that something you start on with? Is that something evolved over the years?
Yes, it has evolved. Where that came from, and I'd like every business owner to take this out of this conversation if they would, is that Simon Sinek captures it so beautifully. I wish I'd done the video he did. I've been doing culture change for many years, but this comes out of our culture that you need to discover your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And as wasn't clear to us at the start, and it's about 4 or 5 years ago that every decent business deserves to be trusted came to fruition. But Sinek's brilliant as well for saying, when you ask that, we try and capture. Sorry, say again, Stephen.
Oh, okay. I've got children in the background. I do apologise, Angela.
Yes. Yeah, we understand homeschooling, Stephen. How are you getting on with that?
Half term this week. It's even harder. Entertaining them.
Yes.
You carry on.
What Simon Sinek said, because we get this all the time when we're going into a business and we're saying, why are you doing what you're doing? 9 times out of 10, most people say, to make money, of course. And say, no, actually, that's a result of what you're doing. That's not why you're doing it. And if you ask most people why they're doing what they're doing, they tell you what they do. And we know that that's not going to go to the emotional side of the brain. Anyway, what's so brilliant is Simon Sinek, again, on the far side of complexity, has simplified it. He said, you don't, but what is it? Money, the result of profit, being a profitable business, that is a function of you being in business. Every year, a company is awarded a license to operate. That's how, what's his name? Justin King puts it. The profit, your earnings are awarded by your customers who say, you've earned that, you can keep it. But it's not the reason why. And he said it so beautifully. He said, it's the fuel. Profit and earnings and money is the fuel that fuels a business, but it's like a car. You don't buy a car to buy petrol. You buy a car to get around, and it has a purpose.
A to B,
and
indeed.
Yes, precisely. And it's the fuel that enables you to keep going.
And so your values and your vision have changed over the years, Angela. I had a question in mind there, but it's just suddenly slipped my mind. But what has changed? I mean, how has it changed over the time? And what?
I think it's got clearer. It's got just, you work at these things, and your values, I think they're the ones that might be honed more often than your vision statement. But your vision should be sort of like a 50-year target. So we're not going to rest until every decent business has the trust it deserves. And that's a hairy. Jim Collins would be proud of that, wouldn't he? As a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Well,
but
you
equally,
referenced Simon Sinek, and he's a great author and a great coach, isn't he? And I think it's not only about knowing what your why is, but really connecting with it and having a real passion. And clearly, you've got that. In terms of every decent business deserves to be trusted, and that is something you clearly every time I talk to you, you buy into and you believe yourself, and that's so crucial, isn't it? And for any business owner, you've got to hold on to that vision and believe in it.
But also you've got to have a mission. So you've got to have some sort of competitive advantage that you can, Warren Buffett says it's like a moat around the business that you can say, this is our sustainable difference. This is what makes us stand out to all the others out there, and nobody else can have that. And Action Coach, you were absolutely integral to that, because ours is, we make a step change to a company's growth by using standout content guaranteed. And that guaranteed, we've been guaranteeing our results since 2006, long before austerity was fashionable. We've got obviously evidence of that, not just in our private domain, but also the public domain. And that's so important to have that. And a lot of companies are unable to articulate that.
And so 17 years, you've done well over 17 years. You've grown the business. What do you think are the key steps that you've taken, prior to lockdown? What are the key steps you took over the last 17 years? Have any significant moments when you look back and think that was a pivotal moment in my business growth?
Several. I would say, firstly, I love your steps to success. And I think, firstly, that financial control, we once had to swap our financial arrangements, and it got to 6 months in and I hadn't had any accounts, and we just stopped the board meeting there and then said, actually, this is our priority. No, not to have a board meeting, it's to get financial control back. But that financial control, to know that when I set up Kinetic, my great aunt Lil said, just make sure your ins are more than your outs. She was a visionary lady. She was Auntie Millie as well. She was company secretary.
Oh, looks like we have lost Kinetic there, lost Angela. Hopefully she'll be back in a moment. Looks like she was just in the middle of telling about her aunt then, and the make sure your ins are more than your outs, and hopefully she'll be back with us very shortly. Just while Angela's reconnecting, I'm sure she will be back with us in a moment. She's talked a lot about how Action Coach have worked with her in her business, and if that's something sort of intriguing and you want to find out more, here at Action Coach we have a great program right now called our 30X program. It's 30 years of Action Coach's tools, techniques, our 6 steps bundled into 30 half-hour videos of business experience that you can tap into as a business owner and do in your own time. You can do a video a day, a video a week, whatever works best for you. It's our 30X program. 30 minutes a day is what we recommend. 30 days to work on your business, to, as Angela was saying, to talk about how your business is growing and how you can move it forwards. And the great thing is it's only £25 plus VAT, so £30 a week to sign up. Included in that is also accountability calls and a 90-day planning session as well. So if 30X is something that really does appeal to you and you want to find out how you can grow your business and find time to work on your business as well as in your business, then I would love you to make contact with us. My contact details are on the screen right now. Steve Charman, birmingham.actioncoach.uk, and our email is birmingham@actioncoach.com. And also we have Angela's contact details there as well. I wonder whether it was her battery that's suddenly gone, because it was such a quick disappearance there from her. I'm hoping that is, and she's able to plug herself back in. And what we will do shortly, if she doesn't come back, is we'll just take a short pause and wait for Angela to rejoin us. So hopefully she'll be back in a moment just to tell us a bit more about her business journey over the last 17 years. What I'll do now is I'll just take a short pause while we can reconnect Angela, and we'll be back with you very shortly. Well, I'm really sorry. It looks like Angela's having some connectivity problems. What we'll have to do, I think, this Lunch and Learn is reconnect with Angela on a future date where we can get her back in. I do apologise. It was really interesting there just hearing about Angela and her business journey. She is booked to come and talk to us about PR more generally and how PR and Kinetic can support your business and the benefits of great PR and the stories behind any business and how it can help you with your sales and marketing. What I'll do is I'll finish this Lunch and Learn now. We'll reconnect with Angela, and we'll either be back on in the next 10 or 15 minutes, or we'll rebook Angela to come and join us another time. But for now, if you've got any questions either about Angela and Kinetic PR or myself, our contact details are on the screen. And I do apologize. It's the first time in 18 months this has happened. It's just one of those things with technology. We will either be on again in the next half an hour, or we will indeed rebook Angela for a further date. Oh, and here's Angela back with me. There
I'm
we go.
so sorry, guys.
No,
So sorry.
I thought I was suspecting, Angela, it might have been a battery problem.
No, just I thought I saw myself freeze, and then don't ask me why. I'm plugged in and everything.
I've done some ad-libbing, Angela. You know,
sorry, Stephen.
Talking about you and me, but and our businesses. But no, it's great. You were just talking about your aunt and more coming in than going out, I think.
Yes, great Aunt Lil. She just said, but isn't that a good maxim? Make sure your ins are more than your outs. Be careful how much you're borrowing. Even we've taken out a business interruption loan, but we're spending we don't need it, but we've we've been adversely affected by COVID. And I thought, actually, we need to use this to make a step change in this way. And I'm using every penny as if it were our profits and how precious those are spent.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually, Andrew, because I've talked to many business owners who've taken out the bounce back loans, et cetera, and you know, we just don't know even now. I mean, it's great news we've got this vaccine, but we just don't know what's around the corner in 2021, do we? And I think we need to plan and expect change and
that's
move forward cautiously.
And I think what's interesting is what it's taught me, COVID, is that I've always been a cautious business owner and spending very prudently, and much to the chagrin of our suppliers. Anyway, but I think it's really brought into focus that analogy of gas canisters, and I like this one, that if you're climbing Everest, that you need gas canisters unless you're superhuman and can do it without oxygen. And the people that die on the mountain are generally the ones that only bring enough gas to make one attempt. And the thing is, you need to come back down and then try again and keep going back down and coming back up until you're ready to make the final summit bid.
Yes,
Cash is like gas canisters, isn't it? as you reach for the pinnacle of your vision, you've got to keep on coming down every now and again, gauging the weather conditions and see when it's right to go for the top.
Absolutely, you've always got to have a contingency plan and make sure you're planning ahead. And we talk a lot about planning here at Action Coach. Have a plan. It's what we always talk about, and it's really important. So, in terms of your business, Angela, the pivotal points. We got to almost this time last year, wasn't it? I remember, sort of February last year, and COVID was hitting the shores of the UK, and then it was in March we went into lockdown. Tell us a bit about the sort of some of those immediate decisions you had to make in your business and what the changes were that you made this time last year.
So as soon as we've got a WhatsApp group for our team, and I was messaging for the week before we had that speech from Boris on that Monday evening.
Yes.
And it was, and I was just saying, guys, I think actually we can work from home. Should we work from home? And it was the younger members of our team saying, no, we want to come into the office. And I think they've changed their tune on that one, by the way. Anyway, but right, okay. And that Monday, and I went into the office and face to face, I said, guys, I think that this is getting, that we're all girls, by the way. I think this is getting to such a pitch now that we've really got to be careful, because both of them had people at home with comorbidities, as it were, that were very vulnerable, that I had in mind. And then Boris gave that speech, didn't he? So from that point on, we were working from home. Very interesting. The husband works for a company that's international, and they have got 77,000 people across the world, and they all pivoted to working from offices to working from home in 1 week. There's somebody that did a bit of planning.
Anyway, I've worked with large organizations, and it was always the mantra, you need to be in the office, you need office presence.
Yes.
I understand there's an element of that, but it is amazing how much change large corporations, large organizations have made to pivot.
Yes,
not just how they deliver business, but how their staff can work. I called a large organization the other day, and the member staff, I tell you what, it was a large retailer, and the member staff and customer service were sitting in the front lounge. And I said, it sounds like you're out nightclubbing. I said, she said, oh, that's the kids playing. In some ways it's lovely to hear, but it's amazing how we have all had to change our business and done it so quickly. But tell us about some of those changes back in March that you put in place, Angela.
So we've always been, not always, we pivoted to the cloud quite early on. We went to Office 365 shortly after. Very, very grateful, obviously, that we did that. Our K drive, as we call it, has always been absolutely buttoned down in terms of security, but that was one of the things that we have to make sure that with Complex IT, our IT partner, that everything was battened down as far as it could. But we've always also had the controls in the business with regards to timesheets, which are horrible because you have to go through every quarter hour of the day and say, what you're doing. But what's really good about that is it enables us to say to a client, look, we budgeted that it would be this amount of work, and here we are, we've spent this amount of work. And obviously, if it's a lot more, we say to them, we've taken that on the chin, that's us getting it wrong, our judgment, our calculation, but equally going forward, we won't be able to do it for this price point. It would have to be this if that carried on. And then that often leads to a discussion where the client says, oh, if only you'd said, we'll do X, Y, and Z, so you don't have to go to that fee increase or whatever. So that timesheet system was in place, but also the important one was the planning. I love your thing about have a plan.
Yes,
work
indeed,
that
indeed.
plan. And we have a planning system for the month that says this is what you're doing. We've got an order book that says this is the fee coming in. But I do want to share with people, I know your pain. If you've gone through COVID pain, I can share your pain. I'm in my late 50s now, and I had my worst day's business at the end of March. I had 4 clients ring me up and say, I'm sorry, we've just got to stop. 4 clients, all contractually tied in, all on notice periods. But what do you say as a business owner? I'm glad to say I dug deep and I didn't sort of go, oh no, you've got to keep on giving us money, otherwise we're going to go bust. I said, right, guys, I understand where you're at, obviously one at a time. Do you want to postpone it? Should we just push the campaign out by 1 or 2 months or whatever? This is obviously an incredible circumstance that we find ourselves in. Would that work for you? And but I'm not soft. The one said, oh, no, I don't think we'll be spending it in June. No, not September. I said, well, let's put it like this. You'll be spending it in December. So I think you can have that adult conversation with your clients. They all understand where you are. But the other measures are making sure everybody's all right. There's a fabulous app called Lumion that helps you test the well-being of your team by just saying, one of them was, carers that were going into the home, and they were so busy that they weren't getting a proper diet. What an easy fix that is. Okay, send them food parcels, like those nice little graze boxes and
Yes.
other healthy foods. So checking in on that, using Teams to its full effect, but also WhatsApp and Zoom. I prefer Teams to Zoom, but everybody prefers Zoom to Teams, it seems, the people I know. So little things like that work in the format that your customers and your suppliers want.
There's a couple of things that come into my mind. Firstly, I think, we're all on a very, very personal journey, aren't we? As business owners, as individuals, as we both sit here, we've probably got very different circumstances at home with different members of the family facing different challenges, our loved ones, our friends, and I was saying to a client the other day, there's those who want the schools open, those who want the schools closed, there's those who want to go shopping, there's those who probably never go into a shop for another 6 months. We all want different things, and we're all on a very personal journey with this. And I think it's understanding in business and in life where your clients and your colleagues are at any one time, and that touches on your point about that welfare check, whether it's Lumion, whether it's just asking your clients and your family and your colleagues, are you okay? As one of our friends know, Becky Coombe, are you okay? Are you really okay? It's really important, isn't it? Just ask that second question and check in with us and with your teams.
And I think some of the positives to come out of COVID is everybody's being a bit more thoughtful. It's taken spatial manners back to Darcy days, hasn't it, James? No, after you. No, I insist after you. Anyway, but I think that's lovely. I think that's lovely that everybody's being a bit more out for each other in terms of looking out for them. Sorry, this is Worcestershire. I have to say I did blow my top once in the little Tesco in the Jewellery Quarter when 3 guys came in without wearing a mask. The one brushed by me and I said, "Excuse me, where's your mask?" And he ignored me. Thought, "Oh, you don't want to do that." Anyway, bless him, he got stuck in the queue ahead of me. "Excuse me, where's your mask?" Moving on, I won't go into the details, but this guy did march out after me, this very tall guy that wasn't one of the 3 not wearing a mask. This guy was wearing a mask and went, "Warrior!" and said, "Yes, snap the ticket of it. I'm here to hold people again." Oh my God, they must have thought there's a right.
Ownership and accountability, Angela. You've worked with acting coach before. You're taking it to the nth degree.
I love that. Do you know that bed thing, when people are making excuses or in denial or blaming, I say, get out your bed. No blame, excuses, denial. Pick up your oar.
Yes, and I whenever I'm talking about it, I always use the example of when I was driving up to Birmingham last March, and we had that announcement from Boris the night before, stay home. So I went up to Birmingham for the last time, got what I needed, and came back and worked from home. And I've not been back to Birmingham since. But that first weekend we switched the news on, and there was people down on Devon coast on the beach, and there's people up in Yorkshire cycling through the Yorkshire Dales, and people climbing Snowdon. And when they were approached by the media or by those in authority, everything they said was below the line. It was all blame, excuse, and denial of the pandemic. And I think it is really important. One of the things that many of my clients and business owners and contacts and friends I'm talking to, those who've done the best are those who've taken ownership and taken responsibility literally in the palm of their hands and said, right, as a business owner, what am I going to do? Not waiting for everybody else, but what am I going to do to move my business forwards and to support my team? And I think that's, it's so important to
and we're growing, Stephen. Have you got lots growing?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I fully accept that those industries out there that we can all think of, retail, hospitality, etc., that are really struggling. But there are many businesses that, I've got 2 clients this week, both taking on extra staff. There are opportunities out there. There are businesses that are growing. It's just looking at how we can pivot our businesses and do things differently. I guess on that point, Angela, if you were to go back and relive, and I hope none of us have to relive the last 12 months again, but is there anything you would do differently?
Yes. I think on the team front, I think I would have been a bit more sensitive to their situation, in that I'm quite happy working from home because I've got a nice little, 3.5 bedrooms, semi-detached in Worcestershire or whatever, and we can just put our boots on and walk out the door. It's a very different experience if you are working in your bedroom. You go to sleep in your bedroom, you wake up, pop down into the bathroom or into the kitchen and whatever. And I don't think I tuned into that perhaps soon enough. So being more attuned to a team's well-being, I think that would have been more important.
Yeah, I think it's been a learning curve for us all, hasn't it? And I, like you, in lockdown one, I just bought a new house and had no back garden because it was all mud. And effectively I didn't have much outdoor space, but it made me realize that if you are if you're in an apartment and you haven't got an outdoor space and you're in lockdown, it's really tough. And those people that I have got clients who are literally sitting in their bedroom working, and as I say, everyone has a very personal situation, very personal journey, and I think it's important that we all do what we can to accommodate and support.
And I think the other thing is, when you're older, you've got so much in place. In first of all, the financial security, but secondly, you've got a larger house, but a husband. One of my team, her boyfriend's down in the south. She's up in the Midlands. They haven't seen each other for months, and they couldn't even get together over Christmas because of the way their bubbles work. So it really is crucifying for some people, isn't it?
Yes, all I can say is hurrah for bubbles, because the first lockdown I was in that same situation, but the second one, it's been a lot better with the bubbles in place. Just in terms of how you're delivering the business and the types of products and services you're offering, Angela, has that changed as a result of lockdown? Are you doing things?
No, we did 3 years ago, we did a root and branch review of the business where we decided that we were absolutely going to specialize on the SME market in the environment, health, professional services, construction, property. That was what we were going to be at. And that has served us so well. So we've action coach lessons learned, systemizing the business, where ISO 9001 2015, which has enabled us to consistently guarantee our results and stay in business 17 years later. And the reason that has worked so well, we celebrate mistakes. Oh my God, there's been a mistake. We've done something here and it's not quite right. Where did it go wrong? And we unpick the process and then, do a change improvement form as a result. And that may sound, oh my word, how can you be creative in such a stultified? Actually, it's not stultified. It's an absolutely free environment for you to have as many creative ideas as you like. And we have made it so simple that we used to say we will guarantee that we'll capture, say, your DNA. Now, DNA is high-level consultancy. It's about capturing the culture of your organization in a few very well chosen words. So that elevator pitch or that customer value proposition, it's a very special source, and you're reading the source as if you're in the inside of the bottle and you can't read the label on the outside. It's like capturing lightning in a bottle, because what do they say about culture versus strategy, Stephen?
Sorry, culture versus strategy.
Yes. What does culture do to strategy? Pete Drucker, I think. Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes.
So if you can get your culture right, then you're going to get so many other things right. And with culture, if you get that defined, you can tell people this is what we are before you join the organization, let alone appraise them.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that whole DNA piece, we used to charge £1,000 for that and say we'll guarantee it after four 2-hour sessions. We've got so good at it. We in the main we do it in 2 hours. So for £250 plus VAT, you get your DNA and you can spend the rest on whatever you like in terms of pulling together a communications plan, getting your name out there, whether it's on blogs to attract the Google love towards you, or whether it's getting your name in the press. And we've got all of these packages that are now systemized in the way that we send them out and chase them through using a CRM system. It's beautiful. It works really well.
You really had time to work and review your systems and processes. Now, completely agree with what you're saying about culture. As I said, I was looking at a website, care, rigorous, straight talking, pioneering, and delight. I love the words on for kinetic.
But it's the words behind those words that matter. Absolutely. So when a client asks us to jump, we don't go, "Ooh, how high, Stephen?" We say, "Why?" Because once you've got that time and money have gone, you never get them back. You may get more money in another way, but you never get the time back, do you? You've lost that time, which is why it's so important that we guarantee the result at the end of the campaign. This is what you're going to get at the end of the campaign at the start. You don't want payment by results where people say, "Oh, well, if we get those results, if we get those, you'll pay that."
And by having those core values in place, Angela, your own marketing, and you're there to market other businesses and help with their PR, but your own marketing, your own conversations, your own recruitment process, they're all going to reflect that DNA of Kinetic. And that's why it's so important to have that understanding of what you stand for.
What's so good about it is you ask in an interview, like Charlotte, one of our team, I said, "Can you illustrate how you care?" And she said, "Well, I used to work in a pub because I knew I needed to build my self-confidence. So first of all, you get a real flavour there, don't you? Here's a girl that's prepared to put herself out of her comfort zone so that she can learn and change herself at a very deep level. And she said there used to be this couple that came in every Sunday. And then the one day I noticed that they'd stopped coming, but the lady was stood at the bar on her own. And she said, "Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been?" She said, "Oh, my husband died and I don't like to eat alone." And Charlotte said, "I'll eat with you if you like. Come in on a Sunday and I'll be working that Sunday and I'll sit." And she used to spend her lunch hour eating with this lady so she didn't feel
Oh,
alone. How about that? I said, "Charlotte, that's beyond care. That's kindness, but tick." And then you can
yeah.
use that value in the second interview, because remember, hire slow, fire fast in the
Yeah.
second interview. And you can ask for another story that illustrates care. And obviously, that if they go into the same story, you can see for any differences. But I'd say that's oh my word, I wish I'd got into more sophisticated hiring interviews at a sooner stage.
Yes, because you can, we all know you can send somebody on a strategic or a strategy course or a technical course of some kind. What we can't
Mm-hmm.
do is embed behaviors and culture. Well, we can embed culture. We can't embed behaviors and personality. It's about digging deep, isn't it? At that stage.
That's it. And what's so beautiful about it is I do think that some employers can make a big deal about, oh, it's an employee's time, that they can have you over the coals. And I totally disagree with that. My view is that it's the employer's call, that you need to define your culture. And when you define your culture and you say to people, this is what we expect of you, and then you translate that into the objectives as per their job description of a sort. But remember, in their contract of employment, you've defined this is our culture. And at any time in those appraisals, if you say, "Actually, I know I told you that about care, but I did see the other day that you were telling somebody about how to shortcut something," and they actually responded to you, "Well, that's not very caring, is it?" And you said, "Oh, well, that's okay." That's not okay. First strike, second strike, third strike, you're into a letter just because they're violating the care value, and
Yeah.
you can fire on that. And I think this is where some employers feel at a loss. They feel, "Oh, I can't just, they've done more than 2 years service. I can't." Yes, you can. If you can show that, they have gone off that values script, you are perfectly within your rights to say, "I'm so sorry, but you no longer fit our culture. You did at first, but our culture has stayed the same. It's in your contract of employment. It's an integral and explicit part of your contract. You must perform to this."
Yeah, no, it's so important, and it's why it's one of the fundamental building blocks. You mentioned finance earlier on, but destination, vision, mission, and culture are sort of fundamental aspects of any business. It's so key to get right. Just one last question, Angela, before I know you've got to go and get on running your business. It's so important. But in terms of the sort of the messaging and the work you've been doing for your clients, have you seen a change or a shift in the messaging and how people are
Yes.
communicating over the last 12 months?
Yes, when I first started out on this cultural journey, shall we say, trying to get people to articulate their culture, I was very much a lone voice, it felt. So I love Simon
Yeah,
Sinek coming in with his TED Talk. Do look it up, people. If you've not seen it, it explains it better than I'd ever
absolutely.
explain it. It's
Yeah.
that's how good it is. I've seen now that more and more enlightened business people are getting behind. Actually, there is no use just as having the car to put fuel in it. A business is not just about making money. We've got to get it on purpose, because that will be the way that we get the business coming to us, because we will draw people towards us. So I think it's as we baby boomers retire, a more enlightened a more enlightened generation of business people is coming through that understand the power of purpose.
So really important to, a really good point to end on, I think, Angela, to understand your why, understand your purpose. And if you want help with that, Angela is the go-to. She
Thank
can
you.
help really distill your DNA in your business. And really, I've said to all
Love
my
it.
clients over the last 12 months, whatever you do not see PR and marketing as an expense in your business. See it as, as an investment. It's no good chopping down the fruit tree when times get tough. You need to give it a bit of a pruning net, but you still need to water it and care for it, because you still wanted to fruit into many years into the future. And it's like that with our marketing and our PR. We need to make sure we look after and invest continually and communicate with our clients. It's so important. But communicate your why, understand how you're different and how you can differentiate yourself from your competition. It's so important, and Angela can help with that. And if you, as I said earlier on when Angela, you weren't on the screen, but if you want any more help or want to have a conversation about, you know, some of our programs in Action Coach and how we can support you in your business, not just to survive, but to thrive this pandemic, then I would also love to have a conversation with you, particularly about our 30X program. Angela, you got your hand up.
Yes, because what I love about Action Coach is you gave me the framework, like I give the framework for communicating. You gave me the framework for these are the things you need in place. And then there's all the Brad Sugar's books and all the manuals, the 90-day planning. It really helps. It teaches you how to run a business, but in real world terms rather than highfalutin MBA terms.
Yes, and that's what I love about it. It's accessible, isn't it? It's, you know, whatever level, whether you want to do one-to-one coaching with us, whether you want to do group coaching, or whether you want to do home learning, which is a new product, Angela, we've started since you were with Action Coach. We do, you know, we've got 30 videos, which you can watch over 30 days, over 30 months if you want, however long or short it takes you to do it in your own time, and then with accountability calls and planning sessions thrown in, which is £30 a week. So if you're interested in that, please do get in touch. And if you want to have a conversation with Angela about your DNA and how you can really maximize the opportunity to promote your business, you know, and discover what your DNA is and make most of that, then please do contact Angela. Contact details are on the screen. But Angela, thank you so much. Despite all the challenges and difficulties this lunchtime, I really appreciate you taking time to join us. Look forward
Thank you so much for having me.
Time, and I look forward to that gin and tonic in the pub.
Oh yes, I'm buying. I'm buying.
I'll hold you to it. But thank you so much for joining us this lunchtime. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll look forward to catching up with you very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
All right, take care.
Bye now. Bye.
Bye.